In this episode of Slipping Time, we finally get back to this car after 2 years of a hiatus of restoration. Hello everyone, and thanks for slipping some time with me today. In this episode, we're going to get further on completing this guy right here. Now, I have to be truthful, I actually haven't touched it for a couple of years. It's been sitting in this state, so I've got a bit to do in figuring out where I left off and where I got to go to finish it up. I do know it needs all its fluids and there's some electrical stuff. I got a number of things just to figure out what I've done. Some stuff I thought I wrote down, can't find it, or I didn't. And that's real life. For you that have ever done this, you kind of understand the longer you go, the more you forget things and you thought you'd remember and you don't. So let's get on with what we can do today and we'll see where we end up. I think the first thing I was just checking out to see where I was in this fuel system. And I couldn't remember what I had for fuel injectors, and I put 450s in, and I think it was because I just wanted a basic tune and just to fire it up. I am going to put 660s in. It's got the 450 stock, I can tell by the color. If I look over here, I have some 660s from a while ago, which was a similar build, actually the same turbo. When I think I mentioned in an earlier episode, the plan is to have around 350 horsepower, which will be perfect, and we'll have a nice comfortable idle as well using those. I've got the 660 injectors in now. I've got them plugged in. In the other cars I've done with a Magnus manifold, I've been able to put this cabling underneath and then reach the injector plugs onto the injectors through the holes in here. Wasn't able to do that just the way I have the cabling right now unless I extend wires. So, and I didn't tuck all the wires, as you can see anyway, because I made it look more stock than tucking it in and cleaning everything up. I just wanted everything pretty. And now that we've got those plugs in, I'm going to get onto the intake side and do some work there. Okay, I did a couple things. I put the upper intercooler pipe in. I test fitted this compressor pipe to make sure it all fit in. Next thing I got to do is get a battery in this thing. I want to use a battery box because I have the upper intercooler piping and I've got this aftermarket intake manifold. I can't use the regular battery or this box, so I am going to cut it so it fits in, and then I'll put a battery in. I actually use a little Honda battery. I think you guys are familiar with the size of them. They are type group. Let me find the group size of them. There it is. It's a group 51N to make sure you got the polarity right on the way the posts are. That's what I use. And we'll get the idea. I gotta buy one actually, because what I can show you is what it looks like in this car. Just like that. That's what it looks like. I have to make a little bracket here, and you'll see how this all fits together when I do it. That'll be sitting, actually it'll be sitting like that. And then I can do the tie down the same way as the other one, except it's moved in here. And we'll show you how that comes together. So there's the notch that I cut out of the battery for it to fit. I also sandblasted. You can see in another video how you can sandblast plastic and actually rejuvenate it to make it look pretty new. So I made that look new again, or fairly new anyway, and filed the edges and made them look nice. And it fits in here. You just put it in like that. Fits in there. You can see the mount that I made, that I talked about there, and how it fits. And then we can put the battery in. So here you have the stock bracket for holding the battery down, and here you have a modified one. And what I did, and I could have showed you the fabrication of it, but basically I cut the center here, or actually I cut a piece out that was the right length, and then I joined them together, welded them, and then I ground them down to make it look like it was all one piece again. if you really look, you can see that it's not, but you know, from a distance, which isn't too far, I'm about a foot away from it right now, and it looks fine. And you can see how on this Honda battery, that wouldn't work at all from the factory the way it sits. But now it fits perfectly. And if I go over to the stock battery, right here, this is the way the stock mount fits, right there. And yeah, so if you're looking at how to make this all work together on a what we call the reverse Honda battery, because the polarities are usually different on the Hondas, where the negatives here and positives there. I think a few Hondas may have this, but it fits good. And I'm going to, because this is a bit of a show car, I don't really like having Everstar on here, so I'm going to take this label off, and I'll just use the heat gun on that and take that off just to clean it up a little bit. That's exactly what I did on here. Yeah, you can see on here I removed it. Looks a little nicer. Still keep that on there. I could have taken that off too just to blacken it. In case you're wondering why I'm not using like a yellow top or an AGM battery, well, AGM batteries are a little harder to find in the size, but I don't feel it's necessary for what I'm doing with this car. And I've had good luck. Actually, I think most of us have a good luck with these Walmart Everstart batteries. For whatever reason, they seem to work well. I've used other batteries, including the yellow tops. I actually don't have really good luck with yellow tops. I've tried to use them over the last 15 years, and I honestly get maybe 2 seasons out of them. They just don't work well. I wouldn't recommend them to anybody. They're overpriced and they don't last. I'm not happy with them at all. And that's just the truth of it. So I find these actually work much better, and I stick with them. And you can't beat the price of these either for what they give to deliver you, and they last. I think these are made by Energizer, because Walmart used to be exclusive to Energizer batteries until they made this brand. So they might be Energizer. If you know what they are, you can comment on that as well. But all I know is that they're dependable, and that's how I started using the Walmart batteries, is when they had the Energizer ones. So that came off pretty easy, actually. I got a few things to take off here. I'll clean up a little bit of the residue from the sticker that was on it, but you can tell that this looks a lot nicer now that it's like that. Now here's something you don't see every day. This is a brand new part. I don't think you can get these anymore, but it's a battery tie down for an Eagle Talon. Genuine, or DSM, Eclipse, or whatever. Genuine part number. And just going to take it out of the bag for the first time. You get to see that. I can do it with one hand. There it is. And how this works, I think you guys already got the idea, but when that smaller battery's in, it'll tie down just the same as the other one. Just like that. Like that. Yeah. And that's the finished product. You can see how that fits in there. Like that. We got the original actual tie down bolt. We got a nice gold finishing bolt here. Looks like a factory bracket. As you can see, I shrunk it down, and we fit all good in there. The reason I put this in now is I need to now put on this guy. And this is a strut tower bar. But you can see I used it to mount stuff because there isn't a lot of room in the engine bay. So I've done this before where I've mounted stuff on the strut bar. So I put the fuel pressure regulator here, and I put the coil pack on here as well. And that'll fit really good there. And then I made a little bar here, down here, that the power transistor sits on as well for the coil pack. And we're going to put that on next. And I have to put the battery in before I put that on. I'll show over here on this car, I got a different strut bar, but the principle is the same, where I've put the coil pack on here and I got the fuel pressure regulator on there. This ended up being a bit of an adaptation because I ended up having the fuel pressure regulator on first before I moved the coil pack, and I moved the coil pack because I went with this Magnus intake manifold. I had to restructure things on it. I ended up just adding this on, attaching it to the fuel pressure regulator bracket I made, and as well as onto the strut tower bar, and it worked really well. I was putting these couple grounds on here that I have right there, and as typical, this stripped out. So the solution to that is this. So I'll have to fix that up. I can't have it. I could put a bolt straight through and do it that way, but I'm going to do it the proper way, the way it should be, and do a helicoil. For those that haven't done a helicoil before, now you see how it's done. Thread that in. Okay, that's all done. Something also, the battery, this battery is a little higher. And even our regular batteries we had in these cars did short out the hood and had some fires. So I would definitely make sure, and I've got a little cover here that insulates it from the hood. Very important in these cars, no matter what you have for a battery, because these are very close to hitting up here. And we've lost many DSMs of fires because of this battery post hitting the hood. Our steering pump still got to be put together. Got to do some finishing. I damaged it here. That's okay. It's black. Black finishes. Matches pretty good when you do touch up. And more OEM parts from MITS. This is a power steering seal kit, and this is the actual nut that goes on top. So we got the right O-rings to put in this kit. Little ATF on the O-ring before I apply it. Actually, I'll put it on here too. end this episode now after doing this. This was a bit of a hodgepodge and getting back to this car, as you could tell after it's sitting for a couple years, getting to this point of a full restoration. I kind of had to pull things together where I left it off and kind of assessing things. So getting back into it. As we go further, it'll be a little more seamless as far as kind of how I'm forging ahead on it. I got lots left to do. I'm realizing I didn't power it up, as you can tell, because I just want to make sure things are safe the way I left it. I'm pretty sure I did, but it's not ready to really start anyway. I got to put, obviously, the spark plugs back in, no big deal. I've got all the fluids to put in as well. Everything. That's going to take some time. I want to do a few tests, and when I put the coolant fluid in, I want to do a pressure test. Things like that I got to do. I got to put the compressor pipe in. Little things like that, and I've got a whole bunch of electronics to do around the computer stuff left. Probably numerous other things that I can't think of right now, but we'll go along the way. But this is getting back into it finally after sitting for a couple years and jarring my memory. Thanks so much for joining me in Slipping Time. Please subscribe, like, and share. Make sure you enjoy every day, and always make it right.